All right, so yeah, this is part 2, a continuation from the earlier video I did about creating a new sales lead in Microsoft Dynamics 365. What I'm going to be doing in this video is I'll take that test script, that test case I did, and now I'm going to expand it. And what I'm going to do is turn it into a data-driven test case using the test design module here, TestCaseDesign module. I already created one, but what I'll do is I'll just go through the process of how I created the data-driven test and add data to the test case. So basically, what can be done now? Obviously, I got one here already, but I'll just leave that alone, and I'll just create a new one. So what can be done here is I'll just create a copy of this test case. Okay, and I'll just call it DT1, data-driven test. Okay, so first thing you got to do is you have to turn this test case. This has been completed. Let's say it's change the work state to completed. Turn the test case into a template. So we convert it to template. Okay, and then for the data now, what I'll do is I'll create a new test sheet here, and I'll just go through the process how I created the values, the data that's going to be used in the test case. I'll just leave it like that for now. Okay, so what I want to do is add the instances that will become the test case. So in this case here, so I'll just call it TC1, and I'll add another one, TC2, like so, and then I'll add an attribute, and that attribute will be the will end up being the value of the data. So in my test case here, we can take a look here. So I have first name data. So this is the data I'm going to be replacing. So I have my first name that I'm going to replace, and I have I'll do topic, last name, and company name as well. So that's the data that I'm going to convert to a data-driven test, just for a simple example. So we'll do here, we'll just call this first name, and then we'll add another one. There it is. Go, and then we'll add the topic and company. Okay, so in here now I need to add another instance. So that instance now, so you can see here, now I can randomize the text within the instance here of the data that I want to use. I'll just copy it from here for simplicity. Oops, that instance there. There we go. And I'll just change this to main data, like so. So now it's starting to take shape. So if I go back to the table here, and now you can see there's my test cases here, columnized. They're in their columns. Now what I want to do is take this random text, test random text instance here, and I want to add it to this test case. So I just simply come in here and I select from the drop down, like so. So it's fairly simple to add it in there. And now I can just do that with my other the other data I want to add. Okay, so let's just add that in here. Add that in. Data, and then I'll use the same one. So, and just call that like that. Data, topic, and I want to randomize that as well too. Take that, and I will drop it in there, and call this topic like so, and then company. That, and then let's just oops, my bad. And we'll call this topic data. There we go. There. So now I add the randomization text here, the random text value, the instance values, into the test case. So we'll just select those now. There we go. Okay, so it's taking shape. So very, very simple data sheet here to create the data-driven test. So I got my two test cases, and then I got the data I want to use in those test cases. So if I just collapse these, it'll make it a little bit easier to read. There we go. There. Okay, so over here now, to make the data a little bit easier to manipulate and change, the way I link these two together is I'll start off with that. So I want to link the TestCaseDesign datasheet with the test case. So we'll just take that and I'll just drag it over here, drop it on there, and there's my link. It created my link now. If I go into the properties of the test case, you can see there's the schema name and there's the link there. So the link is created. So now, oh, it looks like it already did an automatic linkage for me, which I don't want. I don't want to have it done this way. The reason why I don't want to put my linkage between the data, this topic field with the test case field in here is it becomes a little bit harder to edit and update. I want to use a buffer. Let's see if it did do anything else. His first name. Let me just go into here. No, it just did this topic here. So let me just delete that. Okay, so what I want to do in the precondition is I want to add a test step buffer. So set buffer, and let's call this name. We'll add here. And company. There we go. All right. So these I want to use the buffers to create that linkage, and then I use the buffers in the test case. The reason why I want to do it that way is because I can just come here and add new buffers and replace the values, the buffers with the values in the test case. It just makes it a little bit easier to edit and visualize what data I'm using in the data-driven test. Okay, so now to create the linkage between the test case and the test data, I just grab the F name, the attribute here, the test data, and I just drag it over and drop it in, and there it is there. Let's do that with the last name. Topic and company. There. Good. What I'll do is to show that this buffer is coming from the test case data sheet, I'll just change that to Excel. There, good. So now, all I have to do now is come into here, and I will just, I'll keep that click, and now I'll use the buffer. Oops, I got my syntax wrong there. Squeeze the bracket. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's just do a translate value. Let's see. Yep, and it does. It creates a new value for me. So that's working. Okay, so that's for the first name. And now let's go into the other fields I need to change, the other data. So topic there. There it is there. There we go. And let's do the last name. And company. So there we go. Okay. That's it. So the data has been replaced. And so now if I run this, I can just run this test up here. And oh, right, I don't have it all set up yet. So now what I need to do is create my instances. So when I run the test cases here, so instantiate. So when I instantiate this now, I'll get my test cases. So it'll when I click on instantiate, it'll take this test case, bring all the data in. So I got 2 test cases in here. It'll bring the data into the test case here, instantiate it. You can see what it does up here, and create my test cases with the data. So what I'll just click instantiate, and there we go. So there's my test cases created. I go precondition here, and you can see how it brought in the data right there. So it just pulled it all in, created the new values for my buffers in there. You can see it still works. And if I run this now, we go. It ran. So now all these buffers have been populated with some values. If I go into Tools, Buffer Viewer, and take a look at my, there they are there. So anything with Excel, that's why I put the postfix of Excel. Just helps identify the data a little bit easier. So they all been populated. Great. So I can run these individually. So let's just run this. All right. Working good. All right. Okay. We don't need that open. All right. There we go. So it's working. So next thing I can do now is I'll create an execution list to execute these test cases. So see, I already got one in there. So what I'll do is I'll just create a new one. I need to create a execution list in here, and we'll just call it tests. Okay, and I can just drag it over. I can drag over the whole folder, drop it in there, and this will create my my execution list based off of the folder I just dragged in, which works great. There we go, and then I'll just call it lead. There we go. Great. So now I can run this whole test list, execution list. I'll do that again. Okay, so we'll check. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, and then I think that should be good. Let's just run this like this. Okay, you can fast forward this if you want. Automation is fun to build, but boring to watch. Okay, first test passed. On to the next one. All right, there we go. Let's close that down. That. There we go. And the test cases ran and they both passed. And you can see here, here's my test steps. Everything's all green, which is great. If I wanted to see a report, print report, there we go. And we can do, let's just do execution entries and actual log. Yeah, we'll just leave it in there. And there we go. And there's our PDF report. Just a simple high-level report in this case, showing the test cases that were ran and how they passed. Not how they passed, but that they passed. Okay, so one thing I wanted to cover a little bit more in detail is when you're linking the test data sheet with the test case, you noticed that when I was let me just go to precondition here. So when I'm using the buffer, so the reason why I use the buffer, I just want to explain that a little bit more. When you build a test case, there's going to be little nuances and some allowances you have to do to have the test case work. And so in this case, like for instance, I add the name first here, and then I add the rest of the data after, and I do a T-box wait in here. So, and I did that to break up the adding of the data in those fields to help slow the test case down. And sometimes the text boxes, the fields, the Tosca types too fast, or the screen doesn't refresh as fast. So, and there's other ways you can slow that down. You can probably use send keys delay, change this to a send keys, and so forth. But that'll, yeah, as you build out the test case, you'll see the little nuances and some of the fixes you have to put in to have the test case work properly with the UI, with the application under test. And so what happens is if so you notice when I started adding my values, when I dragged the test sheet over onto the test case, let me just make another one so you can see that in action. Let me just copy this, copy, and I'll just paste. Okay, let me just set this up again. Completed, and then I'll set this back as a convert template, and then come over here, and what I'll do is, okay, I already copied and pasted one here. So what I'll do is I'll just drag this over here. I'll just connect that. Okay, so now you notice when I just dragged it over, and if you go into the process here, you can see how Tosca will automatically search for values, first name, last name, topic, company, and try to populate, do an automatic connection between the values from the test data sheet and the test steps. And I don't want that because it's like I mentioned, I add first name. I just have the first name. That's all I want to use in this test step, and then I have the rest here. So and then I have cardinality here. You see this here, and so Tosca went and tried to fill those values in for me, and for the design of this test case, I don't want that. So it creates a bit of a mess, so to speak, and that's why I have to go in and delete it here, and then go here. I don't want this to happen here, and this one here. I don't want this to happen here because I want that Excel connection to happen here, and then and these fields here. So that's why in the buffer, what I can do is I'm just going to add a buffer here. So let me just go into here, and so they already populated. debug set buffer. Okay. So when I add the buffers here, that's name, and we'll do last name. I'll do it quickly. There. So and then that's why I manually just drag it over and drop it into the buffers. So this first name, last name, and then topic. Drop that into the company. Okay, so I have my buffer set up now with the linkage between for the test data and the test sheet, and then that's what I mean when I went in here and I just set this up to use the buffers in here, and I have to manually do it. I don't want Tosca to go in, because when I design my test case, and like I said, there might be little nuances and fixes and cardinality in here, and Tosca is going to go in and try to fill in all the values with these extra fields here, and I have to go through the whole test case and just delete them all, and I don't want to do that. So that's why in this case I use the buffers, and then I'll just set that up myself, so I know exactly what data I'm going to be using with the test data sheet, and Tosca, and then, so I don't want to use Tosca randomly filling in the values for my values here, my fields in the test steps. So I just wanted to point that out. It all depends on how you design the test case. If it's just really straightforward and you just got one field per test step or something, is pretty straightforward, and then you can just drag it over and Tosca can fill in the fields for you. That's great, but when you build a test case, that's probably not going to happen. You're going to have to do all little of adjustments to work with the UI. There might be little nuances, like I mentioned, with the way fields work. You have to do a click, a double click, to make a field work, to activate a field, and so you have to do some cardinality here to act on the field a couple of times. So just stuff like that. Yeah, so I just wanted to point that out with this, and yeah, thanks for watching.